padme hum, mani padme hum, om mani padme hum, om mani padme hum.
Before we take refuge tonight, which is how we start the practices, formally in Tibetan Buddhist tradition, some question came up about vegetarian diet. And I heard this more than once. In the Tibetan tradition, first of all, you must understand that Tibet is a very austere place. It's actually a desert. The Tibetan Plateau, which is a desert, is 1,500 miles across, and the Tibetan mountain ranges extend 1,000 miles, and there are 26 mountain ranges behind the Himalaya. All of these are high altitude, doesn't get much water, and what does runs off very fast into a few rivers that end up in India. So their diet was mostly meat and the byproducts of yaks, like we have cows, which was butter and so forth. And then, of course, there were wild animals there they could live off of. And when they made offerings in the tantric tradition, it was because they wanted to not have to kill their best animals and their children and their girlfriends for offerings to the spirits. In shamanism, animal sacrifice was the method, and of course, bad karma for everybody involved, not just the ones that were getting off, but the ones doing it. So when the Tibetan tradition took hold in Tibet, how it did was they showed them another way of making these offerings to perpetuate the spirit so they could get the rain for their barley crop, which is a 2-month crop. And if they don't get their barley crop, then they're going to have a very severe time to survive the 10 months of winter. Which, if you've ever been to Alaska and you go there in the wintertime, you don't see the sun but 2 or 3 hours a day. So it's the same in Tibet. But when the tantric tradition entered, they said, if you're not going to use animal and human sacrifice, you must offer something that you consider valuable. So when they made up these tantric offerings the way they were doing in India, the best of the Tibetan people was their chong, which was a byproduct of their barley, which was like our beer. Very strong. And at high altitudes, I don't know if you know this, but if you drink alcohol at high altitude, you get really drunk fast. Goes into the blood, does weird stuff. And then the other product that they valued the most was their meat. So when they made tantric offerings, they offered meat. Now in India, some of the Mahasiddhas, they reach a state where everything is equal. So it didn't matter if they ate worms or dead fish from the fish banks or anything. Well, of course, they didn't eat shit. I'm talking about food. They weren't judgmental about it. You overcome the judgmental aspect of your consciousness. And there's stories about that. But here we are in the Western world where we have the best of everything. And so a vegetarian diet is actually quite appropriate, especially since most of our food products are toxic from being processed. And even the meat is toxic because of the way they feed it. But other than that, when we make what we call the soak offering, tantric ritual feast offerings in the sutra and tantra tradition, is mostly what Tibetan practices are about. The reason we put the meat out there is actually symbolic. It's a symbol of your own body, okay, being offered with a piece of meat. Now, that doesn't mean you have to eat that. Symbology of something that is precious to you, which is your body. The other product that we offer is alcohol. Now, the alcohol is symbolic of the bliss nature of your mind, which humans don't have a clue about. So those two things in tantric practice work together. You have to have a body, and otherwise you're a spirit. You have to have somehow connect to your bliss nature, find it useful in a way that you can overcome pain and suffering, which is the design of the Buddha's teachings when he came 2,600 years ago. It was all about how do you overcome the problem of pain and suffering the way we are in our conditioned existence. And so we do that. But it's not an easy process because we've conditioned ourselves that pain and suffering is okay. It just, even some religions even increase their pain and suffering intentionally as part of their spiritual practice, which is not very fun or healthy. So I'm reading this of the Sutra and Tantra. It says, actually what it comes down to is judgmental mind about what you eat. So if the ritual says, yes, you use meat and alcohol to propitiate, we're talking about an aspect of consciousness that's clear and non-judgmental, but is also using emotional energy to produce something. Now, most emotional energy produces really bad results. Even attachment is a big problem because it escalates into what we call desire. Desire escalates into lust escalates into greed, and so forth. That's the problem with our emotional tendencies. But the energy of the emotions can be transformed, but that takes a special, how should I say that? Software. Here we are in the computer age. For our hard drive brain. Now, everybody believes that what you're sensing and what you're thinking is outside of you. Everybody believes that. 7 billion humans. They believe this is going on out here. And then because they believe that, they have a judgment call about what we call a dualistic setup. That you're the subject and everything out here is the object. Object of what? Your projections, or the object of what you're sensing coming in. That is coming into your subject. What is the subject? Your mind. Well, if you stop to analyze the situation, everything out here is in your mind. How did it get in your mind? Through your eyes, through your nose, through your tongue, through your ears, and through your body. If it's in your mind, it's not out here. Or at least you could say everything out here is in your mind. Okay, well, if everything out here is in your mind, then who's receiving that information? Okay. And then you find out that everything is interdependent. It's not separate. This idea of separation is falsehood. When you find that out, you start to go, wow, that means I'm distorting what I'm sensing, and then I'm, again, emotionally involving myself with, so I'm double distorting it through the emotionality, which causes karma. Now, the karma might be good, but it might be bad. But it's still karma. It's the result of faulty thinking. How do you end karma? Take the faults out of your thinking. If you take the faults out of your thinking and you end your karma, you don't have any pain or suffering from karma. Well, of course, that means you don't have any good times either. So that takes some getting used to. Okay? Hey, the Buddha said, there's a way out of the suffering, there's an end of suffering, but he didn't tell you that you had to give up the good times and the attachment to all those good times to reach that. So then along comes a teacher we call Lama and says, well, it's really like this, and if you want to get it to what it's really like, you have to do this, this, and this. So there's a kind of a trade-off going here with these practices. But the benefit of the practice is not just for you, alleviating your own pain and suffering. If you do that, you're like the other religious traditions on the planet. And actually, Buddhism isn't a religion, it's a health program. Of course, a lot of Buddhists treat it like a religion, but that's their problem. See? But we're in a situation where the human race has to change its thinking, because if it doesn't change its thinking, we're not going to have a human race here very much longer. So it's pretty critical, and it's getting more critical day by day. Not to say that that's, you know, what we dwell on, but that's the actual situation. So what we think of is person by person, individuals, since everything is connected, can actually create a lot of change outside by changing inside. And what do they change is their mind. First of all, you get rid of the idea of separation. Everything's interconnected. Okay? If you do that, there's no I. It's a we program. You know, like in French, they say we. We. So it's a we program. All right, so we'll say it's a we program. All right, now that we say that, then we find out that there's no I, then that means everything is based on emptiness. Emptiness of what? The I. So the emptiness applies to this idea that the basis of the universe is simply energy. And since that's true, we can move this energy. We can deal with it. We got software programs, just like your computer, infinite number of apps can go in here. See? And so we have really a lot of programming. That's what this class is about. But the end thing is, if you can change and you're getting really healthy, what about everybody else? See? If everything's interconnected, well, there's 7 billion humans and uncountable animals we know about. And of course, they tell us that everything is loaded with spirits, space, and all logic. So we got that part too. But they don't know that. They can't connect the way we're connected. They cannot. But you're doing it. See? You're getting all these really good results, and you know, best of everything, at top of the food chain, and you're some of us even up in the 1/10 of 1% of the very best, some of them. But you must have concern and compassion for the ones that can't do that. So please come in, have a seat. So when I started to do these practices, I said, well, Lama Geltro, he was the first one I met, 1974, in Huelo on Maui. I says, well, I feel pretty good about what I'm doing. I'm practicing Taoism, I'm smoking dope, and I have girlfriends, and I'm gardening and farming. And everything's just fine. He says, yeah. And he says, you're laughing at this stupid we're building here. I said, yeah, it's really a joke. I'm a science fiction kind of guy. I've been reading it since I was 4 years old. This is right out of the science fiction book. It's symbol you're building here. He says, yeah, it's very unusual, especially in your culture, but if you go to India and Tibet and other countries, you'll find these all over the place. And he says, now you don't know. And he says, good, you have a sense of humor. Actually, it's a cosmic joke what's going on here. But he says, someday you're going to understand what this little thing is here we're building, this monument. When you understand, I'm going to ask you one thing. Make yourself available to explain it to others. That's all I said. And I chewed on that from that day up to now. So what is the process that you are developing for yourself as you get yourself into a good mode of being and more or less emotionally stable and less judgmental about everything, and not all the time preoccupied with having to label everything, good or bad. See? Kind of lessen all that. And then you start to find out that inner side you have this state of clarity that's more useful than the other way we were doing things. But then make that information available to others. If you're healing yourself, then you can heal everybody else. Maybe not all at once, but we're in a temporal situation, so maybe it doesn't all get healed this life, but what about next life? Because there is a next life. That's a really nice thought, especially when you get to my age. Tomorrow I get to turn 78. I can look forward to being 1 year closer to death, or leaving the body. We don't believe in death. Leaving the body. That's good, because now I get a new body. See, everybody else goes and celebrate their birthday because they've survived that long. I celebrate my birthday because I'm going to get a new body. I'm closer to that recycling program. This is very unusual. This is the way the Tibetan people looked at things, and the Indian nation and so forth. I'm not talking about the Hindu part of it. I'm talking about the Buddhist, Tantric and Sutric Buddhist. But compassion and this state of clarity have to interconnect in these practices. The compassion is gained on the concern for the well-being of everybody else, as if everybody was your family, and they're not. In fact, they act like they just want to take you out. And some of them do, but they're still your family. See? So you have to have concern for their well-being. You have to be loving, kind, and considerate, at least on the ultimate level. You don't have to go directly out there and give them all the food and money and water and everything they want. No, on the ultimate level, which means, yes, we can rest in voidness. Yes, that's a very powerful aspect of consciousness. But since all others can't do that, we must use that energy program somehow, some way to make it available to them. We have to make it available. So what did we do on this side? Well, we got this healing center right here. Abby, he's a healer. I'm a Lama. Healing center. Ringo, he's part of the program. The cats, they're part of the program. But this is a universal situation. This is not just restricted to this. So we put a stupa down in Molawam. What's the stupa for this? For healing. Do we have to be there? No. It's set up in such a way that the energy program is in the stupa, and anybody goes around there. It's a very peaceful place which starts the ball rolling. It's beautiful and it's quiet. And it works. And of course, if we do practice there, well, now we're getting more on the nuclear level. We're putting our body, speech, and mind in union with the energy of the stupa in the natural setting altogether. Now, we were going to do that this weekend, but we changed the program because it's my birthday. Abby and Lyra want to go up and hide in swamps. I think, okay. 8 miles back in. We're going to do that. And do our practice there and see what happens. But the stupa is still available. People can go down there and sit there and relax. Like the little kids, they come in. Oh, very cute. So I started this off talking about meat, and I ended up talking about the stupa. But it all is interconnected. Yes, vegetarian diet is very, very appropriate in this day and age. If you eat meat, you must be very careful that it doesn't come from the meat. Okay? You must be very careful. You eat chicken, if you eat lamb, beef, ocean fish, whatever. You got to approach this with the idea that it's not contaminated with hormones and all kinds of weird stuff that you can enter your body and mess you up. Okay, and then when you eat these animals and use their products, yogurt, and butter, and milk, and so forth, you should make offerings for them that they become happy. That's what the American Indians did. I was raised in an Indian tribe when I was young. And when you killed an animal, you gave blessings to that animal for giving the meat to you, as if that animal was a brother that you killed, a family member. So we do kind of the same thing, but like I had my teacher on Maui, Lama Tenzin, I said, Lama, let's go out to dinner. He said, oh, yeah, let's go. So we go to a restaurant. I said, what do you want? He said, steak. You want any salad? No. You want potato? No. You want any vegetables? No. Bring me a piece of steak or roast beef or whatever. So here comes this big plate with this big cut on it. And he'd sit there for like 5-10 minutes. He said, Mama, what are you doing? He said, I'm preparing this to eat. I said, it's all cooked, it's ready. No, he said, no. This is going to be my student in the future life. I want this critter to know that. So we don't have bad karma future. Oh, very skillful. Any whole thing. Dessert? Oh no, fattening. Tea. I'm just showing you the way the Tibetan mind along with mine. But to show you the power of this, this just came to me in the mail from Adam and Amy in Canada, from a situation of a Dharma center being built there in Richmond, which is a big area of suburb of Vancouver. It's actually across the river. And when they built this, one lady said, well, you want to put a monastery here, I'll cover the cost. And they said, well, it's in the millions. She said, well, I have $100 million. Use what you need. So she put $100 million in her bank account, and they used up $21 million.
They went for it.
But this $21 million, let's see if I can find a picture of this.
Is the Monlon there again?
Yeah, we did the Mon.
It's not there this year.
It's-
It's at a different location every year. It's in Upper State New York this year. It's some, I don't know, I've never heard of the Dharma Center before. Not the big one in Woodstock.
The College Chocolate Center, specifically?
It's a monastery for monks and nuns.
It's up in the boondocks.
And they have all these pictures. There was one that really showed it. Anyway, it's the very best of everything. And it's on 5 acres of land. And it's on a street called the Road to Heaven. And there's about 20 religious organizations, Christian, Muslim, and so forth, Hindus over, have their building on the street. And the very last one is this Tibetan monastery.
I'm going to find it.
Hmm?
Want me to find it?
Yeah. This is a picture of the Buddhist statue in this monastery, which is about 20 feet high.
That's real cool.
Yeah. And then on inside the building, which is to house 100 monks and nuns and so forth, it's 3-story building. On one wall, there's 108 medicine Buddha statues encased in glass, and on this wall, the same. And then the back wall, covered with Buddhas. Then the big Buddha in front, and to the right and left of that, more Buddha statues. Then Tonkas, these things, hanging all over the place. And it's psychedelic. You walk in there, if you even had a little bit of psychedelic experience, as soon as you walk through the door, you start tripping. You just like enter another dimension, and everything starts. And that's the place to practice. And the monks, they all take it for granted, because they put all their best effort into it. But the point being is that, yes, $21 million went into this place. But what's coming out of it? And it's available to anybody. Anybody can go there. But they do these practices there, sutras and tantric practices, as ordinary. You just think, yeah, this is the way we did it in Tibet. That's the way we're going to do it here. This is, yeah, you're in Canada, but we didn't change. The program works, so we're going to do it the same way here. And so when we went there, a windstorm hit Vancouver and took out their power.
It's down here.
A hurricane. Well, it was a 100-mile-an-hour wind, which is like a hurricane. Yeah. But it wasn't the circular activity of hurricane. But it came from Hawaii this winter.
It followed us.
They followed it. Actually, when we left here, there was 4 hurricanes circling Hawaii. Yeah. And one of those decided to follow us to Vancouver. It took 2 or 3 days for it to get there, but they got there the day they wanted to do a big empowerment. They had to set up generators and lights. 1,000 people coming. They pulled it off.
They lost their power for days.
Yeah. Half the population. The point being that when you access this very natural, ordinary, not ordinary, but natural state of consciousness, you're actually connecting to nature in the same way you connect to nature when you go in nature. But you're internalizing the energy. Instead of having the energy affecting you outwardly, you're bringing it inside and working it into your consciousness. And the same power that's out here now is inside of you. And the life force of the entire universe is in you already, otherwise you wouldn't be in your body. So we want to use that life force, that energy program in these practices to be more effective in the practices and be more kind and considerate and helpful towards others. That's the purpose. And then once you realize that, that you're extraordinary, which you are. I mean, just having the inclination to look at this stuff is extraordinary. Once you get to that point, then you can relax. See? 1,000 lifetimes up to this lifetime. This lifetime you have to, all those lifetimes you must have done a lot of nice things for you to have the inclination to want to investigate and use this program this life. So that's what you should think about yourself. As you wake up every day, I'm extraordinary. I have an extraordinary situation. I'm interested in the well-being of others, and I know from these teachings that I have a state of consciousness that's really powerful. And this power is based on the compassion and the insight of these practices. So if you say, what is a mature human being? A mature human being is simply a human man or woman who has developed insight into that natural state and how to use it. Compassion for everybody else that can't do that. And power from those two connecting. And the power becomes visual outside. That $21 million monastery is a perfect example of how powerful this can be. See? It's mind-boggling to us that, we're looking for, we have jobs so we can get our next meal and pay the rent. And then somebody comes along and says, oh yeah, you need money here, I'll put $100 million in your account. You can't even fathom that. And they said, well, as long as you're doing that, why don't we have a room for you in our monastery? So I'd love it. And she was Chinese too, she wasn't even Tibetan. So anyway, now we take refuge. Enough talk. Compassion, power, and insight for your body, speech, and mind. Now we read this together, and there's 2 sections. One is the refuge of the 6 support system of the 3 jewels and 3 roots, and the second part is the 6 disciplines of the Bodhisattva path. In order to attain enlightenment for oneself and limitless sentient beings, our mothers, we now all together take refuge and offer prostration. We go for refuge to all the glorious holy lamas. We go for refuge to all the idams and deities gathered in the mandala. We go for refuge to all the Buddhas, those who have conquered and gone beyond. We go for refuge to all the supreme Dharma. We go for refuge to all the noble Sangha. We go for refuge to all the Dakas and Dakinis who are the protectors and defenders of the Dharma. All of these possess the eye of transcending awareness. And in Sanskrit, Palden Mama Dampa Nama Chatsu Jiyo Yidam Chakori Yaso Nama Chatsu Jiyo Sanjay Chonde Gampe Churnamba Chakshushiya Gampe Gendranamba Chakshushiya Gao Kandro Choksam Sambe Shorisheti Shundam Yampa Nama Chakshushiya. Then the next part is the 6 disciplines of the Bodhisattva path combined with these 6 support refuges. To the Buddha, Dharma, and this Supreme Assembly we go for refuge until enlightenment. The I through merit gained from practicing the 6 perfections accomplish Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. Sanje Chudam Chuki Chudam Vasentu Pardu Dagni Katsu Chi Dagi Genso Kipe Sonam Jola Penche Sanje Druparsu. Now, in the Tibetan tradition, the Dharma is chanted. In our tradition, the Dharma is spoken in our language. But both are useful because the Dharma has been around a long time in various countries. And the spirits, they're not like us animals and humans. They live long periods of time. So they've been seeing and hearing this in other cultures. And now, here we are in the Hawaiian culture situation. Those spirits move. For instance, if a spirit wants to be in Paris, they think Paris and they're there. They don't have the boundary situation we do. Animals and humans, we gotta motivate ourselves. But the spirits, they just see. So in that less substantial situation, there's not so many boundaries as we have. Also, since they live a very long time, they start to interact in various ways with the human condition in the animal world, and most of them are very antagonistic. Why? Because we're disrupting their situation, either producing toxic substances or actually taking away what they value as homes, like trees, for instance. They like solid objects. They like, a lot of spirits live in your body, for instance. They think your body's their body. They get mad at you when you die and you get sick. You become more intense. So you want to befriend these spirits. So the Sanskrit language is about the resonance factor of everything. But more than that, it's a way of communicating to the spirit energy which is around us and influence our situation of health and so forth. So it's not just a ritualistic way, but also chanting, singing connects you more to the heart. It gets you more out of your head. You know, like when I was a Catholic, my most favorite thing to do is go sing in the choir. It really got me out of my head. You know, like, wow, this really works. And playing music and so forth. But this interaction with spirits is a method of healing. You know, shamanism is about healing. Now, the shamans of the tribe are usually the women because they're intuitive, more intuitive. And so that aspect of intuitiveness is coming from your natural state of consciousness, not from your thought thinking process. Actually, the thinking process interferes with the intuitiveness. They're not compatible. And when a person is intuitive, they know things without ever hearing or reading about them and so forth. So this intuitive situation is very, very useful, and it's actually a survival technique. But in healing, diagnosis is very important. For instance, the Tibetans could read the pulse with 3 fingers placed here on the wrist. And the information, well, the central figure is picking up the main pulse, but on either side of that, there are 2 other vibration And they could tell which organ was affected, whether the remedy should be hot or cold, all kinds of information from this diagnostic technique, which actually goes back 18,000 years to tribes in India and so forth, China. But what I'm saying here is you have to know what's the remedy for the disease, physical, mental, or emotional disease. So retrain in that. Retrain in that so that it comes up on an intuitive way. So you don't have to go to the doctor. Okay? You don't have to pay out all that money. I mean, there's certain things you have to do, like structurally replace your teeth or your bones, things like that. But overall remedies of sickness and disease are based on emotionality. If you want to make yourself get cancer, just get angry a lot. That emotional energy causes a hormone situation in your body that affects your cell structure. Then the cells disrupt and you start to get problems. So what is the cause of most disease and suffering is emotional discord. Wow. Well, then that means you have to go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. But they don't have a clue because they're just as loony as we are. And they're hanging out with all those loonies, so they start to pick up more loonies because it's catching. Not to knock that there are trying to help people, but it's expensive and sympathetic. Go to the cause. Okay, so the base cause of this piece is where does the emotionality? The habit. And the habit is ingrained because of thinking. Okay, well, we can't stop thinking. I mean, that's part of the survival process. But we can change the emotional attachment to what we're thinking. This is a step in the right direction. Also, we can go to the states of consciousness, and I use the word transcending awareness, where you get beyond the thought process into a state where thinking isn't going on. It's going on, but your awareness is not directed to it. Now, this awareness is your Buddha nature. This awareness is your intuitive nature. This awareness is your natural mind. It's just that you're distorting it by your emotionality with the five senses and the thinking process. That's it.
Seems so simple.
Well, that's way too simple. So what do? Well, you become less and less judgmental. You become less and less labeling what's coming in as good or bad. You know, like sound. You know, like some people say, well, I can't practice, it's too noisy. Lama Rinchen says, if you can't practice what is noisy, you're going to have problems in your next rebirth. When you go into the next situation, we call the spirit world, it's really noisy there. That's why they have drums and horns and all kinds of things they do in the Tibetan ritual practice. Enough to drive you up the wall. They have one that sounds like a car horn going off in your ear. Well, hey, we're preparing you. They use it to call everybody to come to practice. When we do these practices, relax. Relax into the practice. Be joyful. Don't think of it as work. Think of it as healing. And starting the process in your own body, then since everything is interconnected, obviously it's going to spread. This neighbor used to be a war zone when I came here. Amazing. Yelling, screaming, fighting, people driving around drugs dealing. Methamphetamine.
Cops here all the time.
Huh?
The cops used to.
Yeah, the cops come
every
in
day.
all the time. Night and day. It's amazing. I loved it. Yeah, this is really a good place. This is what Lama Rinchen set me up. Abby's going, I'm going, oh, this is sweet. Yeah, you got it. But it got out of hand, so we just called the cops. Come on, clean it up. that house, that house, that house, that house. No? No challenge. It's too easy. Nice. Here we go. Sit with your back straight. It's very important to be straight. Align this energy system of life force running through your body so that the channels can move freely. If you move your head a little bit forward, that's lining up the energy center in your head with the other energy centers within the body. Then use your eyes to focus on the space and light about 2 feet in front. And we do this so that the energy of that place comes into the eyes and penetrates into the channels in the body, because it's all about light, energy, space. Mouth closed if you can breathe through your nose, otherwise slightly open if you can. Hands in a comfortable position. I like palms down on the knees. And bring your focus to your breath. Awareness. Cognize your breath. I mean, it's going to activate spontaneously whether you put your focus, consciousness on it or not. But when you do this, it's called prana yoga. Prana means chi, or energy. Inhale deep into your lungs. Diaphragm expands. Everything contracts. The air leaves out your nose into space. This simple yoga practice relieves tension and allows you to become calm. Once you feel this state of calm abiding taking hold, having moved yourself into this spatial setting, then introduce the technique of 3-part breathing. Inhale the air and pause for a moment as the energy is extracted and spread through to your body. It's called the absorption breath. Mentally and physically acknowledge it with this pause, this 1 second pause. Exhale the air to space. Inhale, pause, exhale. Now we're going to increase the discipline on the mental and physical level by using what is called the 3 lights breathing technique. Inhale the air and visualize it as white light filling your lung. The pause, the absorption breath, you visualize red light as energy flashing through your body. Exhale, blue light to space, where it came from. It's called the sharing breath. Now it takes more focus to do this 3 light breathing practice. You need to use your imagination, the mental process of picturing with your thoughts. Then the energy is greatly increased for your life support. And this energy is called life force. And you're doing this without emotionally involving yourself with the process. And of course, if you can, the result. Inhale, acknowledging the air as white light. Absorption breath, let light energy. Exhale, the sharing breath is blue light filling space. These 3 lights are a code. Of course, the energy of the inhale is to keep you alive in your body. That's the white light. The energy now passing through your body consciously is channeled through thousands of, we call psychic channels, in the body. And by doing that, it's a form of clearing, so that when you exhale, that energy comes out with the blue light in an improved form and shared with others and your environment. And since it's the exhale, that means your speech is improved. And the blue light represents the mind of concern for others, compassion and the environment, kindness. And this is where all levels of healing take place. And you practice with this three lights until you can do it anywhere, anytime. Keeping judgment out of the process and the labeling of good and bad and all of that. Just know that it works. Now tonight we're going to do a practice where the power, insight, and compassion is established as a mental application of what we call the path of skillful means. To do this, we're going to do the three lights practice to receive or to transmit the energy from the natural state of our consciousness into our awareness, into our existing way we are now. And to do that, when you inhale the white light, hear the sound Om. When you do the absorption breath of the red light energy processed through the body, you hear the sound Ah. And when you exhale the sharing breath, the blue light to fill space, you hear the sound Hum. Now, of course, you're mixing two dimensions of consciousness, but since the idea of separation doesn't work, healing takes place. Because the bases of both consciousness states are light itself. And light and space are the definition of energy, the program of the universe. Again, you should be able to do this three lights, three sounds practice post-meditationally, mix it in with other activities in a worldly sense and see what develops. Be aware. Now tonight we're going to move directly into what is called the mixing of power and compassion and insight using a deity yoga. And this particular deity yoga is the basis of all the sutra and tantra practices of the Tibetan tradition. And it's workable because it's not complicated to visualize. You simply use a human form, which we know what that is. Nothing weird or extraterrestrial or new agey. And the form that we're going to use is behind my head, above my head. And it's in the center of this Tibetan painting called a tanka. This is the way they instructed people in Tibet to do the meditation practices. So this white deity is called Chenrezig. or in India was called Avalokiteshvara. Now in India, they had a lot more time and support than Tibet, so they practice it this way. But this is more or less too much. It's complicated. This has lots of symbolism. We want to keep the symbolism more to where we are, you know. We like things powerful but simple. That's why we have computers, for instance. So we're going to use this four-armed deity, Chenrezig, which evolves from this Indian symbol. Now, in higher practices in monasteries and nunneries or retreats, you could use this symbol, but this one is much simpler. So this is how you do it. In front of you, your Lama, who is doing this practice, in fact, all the Lamas of Tibetan Buddhism do this practice, you visualize this life-size human form. But as this, now this is kind of an idea of the best. For instance, what religions refer to as celestial. But the way we do this is you do a hologram. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen the new HoloLens by Microsoft, but you put these glasses on and you can have appear whatever's on your computer 3D right in front of you. But another way to think about this is when you go to the movies and you see 3D movies. Okay? Now you're the 3D projector. So you're going to project this deity in front of you, and this right hand is going to be holding what they call a mala. That's what they count mantra with. That refers to the tantric aspect, which is what this is. And the left hand has a lotus, which symbolizes the idea of all of your faculties, how you sense, think, emotion, react, and tendencies, all of that, karma, as clear of defect. That's what the lotus symbolizes. Because the lotus has to start in the mud, work its way up to the water, and finally do its thing in the air. And it needs the light of the sun to accomplish it. So that's the symbol of the lotus. So that's by your left hand. These two hands, the head of meditation in these practices is called devotion. Devotion for what? Your inner Lama, the one that's already not all disrupting and, you know, judging everything and labeling everything and thinking and thinking and thinking all the time. It's clear and relaxed. So you show respect by bringing these two hands together in front of the heart chakra. Now the heart chakra we use in these practices to start with because we want to get out of the head. But the heart's a symbol of loving kindness and compassion. And this hand is going to be your method. And this hand is going to be your motivation, which is what Lama Geltro wanted me to understand when 1974, when I was sitting there smoking dope in front of that stupa. Anyway, okay, so we got method and devotion, so these come together. And we make what is called a lotus symbol, mudra, with the thumbs tucked in. They're not out here wagging like you see on. Like that. Okay, so now you got this. So you got four arms. Now you got three eyes. These two and your imaginary eye, which you actually put a little eye on your forehead. And then you have a 5-jewel crown, which means you're connecting to 5 states of intrinsic awareness, which are useful in your involvement with the world and the people in it. I mean, awareness has got to be something practical. My mother taught me that. She was Scotch. And she said, you know, if it isn't practical, discard it. And so she would point out what's practical and what won't. That's what mothers are for. So this practicality is these 5 states of awareness. When you do this practice, you're going to access them. Then your legs are in full lotus, which shows discipline. That means the right feet and left foot are on top of the thighs. You see that a lot in strict forms of meditation practice. You're wearing 5 colors of silks, which is the 5 elements, which we do a lot of that for healing. And you have 6 kinds of jewelry, which is the 6 disciplines of being a bodhisattva. Now, a bodhisattva is only interested in the well-being of others. But the bodhisattva has tricks. And those tricks are how you get it across to everybody else. They're really not for you, these tricks. And so this is the start of the trick program. And what are we really tricking is our own tendencies, the way we are right now to be judgmental, for instance. Okay, so here we are, back straight. Eyes open, because you're going to see this with this eye and imagine it with this eye. Hands on your knees. You can go to this posture if you like, but we're going to meditate just like we did with the breath. Mouth closed. Then with your imaginary mind, start the 3 lights, 3 breathing process. Before we go outside, we got to internalize. So you inhale white light, hear the sound Om. Red light energy through your body, Ah. Exhaling the result of space, Om. Now with these 3 sounds and these 3 lights, you are empowering yourself with your own natural state of clarity and your awareness, just the way you are. Now these 3 sounds and these 3 lights, take your focus off the breath and just let them kind of be the energy program. And imagine in front of you your Lama as this 4-arm Chenrezig, Bodhisattva. Then use your imagination to make it 3D and see the silks he's wearing and the jewels and the 5-jewel crown and the 3 eyes and the hands right and left, mala and lotus, and then the 2 hands in devotion in front and the legs. But underneath the deity, visualize a sun and moon disk. And the moon disk is flat and white, and the sun disk is under it, red and flat. And these are the symbols of the outer life force situation. And then you visualize it on all of this on a 32-petal lotus, which is the symbol for the heart chakra energy program. Now, when you can see this clearly, go back to the 3 lights breathing for a moment. So keep this imaginary symbol in front of the Chenrezig as the Bodhisattva aspect of the Lama and the lineage and all that. And breathe. Inhale, white light, Om. Middle breath, absorption breath, Ah. Exhale, result to space, Om. Now this deity in front is your support. Support for what? The integration of the qualities that are necessary for your body, speech, and mind. Take your focus with the inhale of the white light. See white light come from the deity's head into your head. This is the transmission of energy for your body, psychic energy entering. Like a vase, your whole body, hair, everything absorbing. When you do the middle breath of the red light with the Ha energy of red light comes from the deity's throat into your throat. This is the enhancement of the energy program in your body as life support for what you say, your exhale. And then the blue light home exhale to space triggers blue light from the deity in front heart chakra to your heart chakra. This is the transmission of what we call wisdom or insight, which is basically a state of intuitiveness, intuitive awareness. Now take your focus completely off the breathing. You've worked the trick and merge that Lama's symbol into you. Just have that whole hologram merge into your body, disappear into your body. And for a moment, just relax. Then visualize 3 lights within your body. A white sphere in your head, marked with an Om, vibrating with the energy of the Om. A red sphere in your throat, vibrating with the energy of the Ah. And a blue sphere in the center of your chest, your heart chakra, vibrating with the energy of the Hum. And this empowerment or transmission now received, you want to bring these 3 spheres into a state of union so that your body, speech, and mind are working together, which is very unusual in our present worldly situation. To do that, focus on the white Om in your head and see it move downward and merge with the red Ah in your throat. Then move that downward and merge with the blue Hum in your heart center. And contract the Hum to the tiniest particle of light or energy and have that merge with the light of boundless space and relax. No meditation. Just go into space. Simply stay present. No blocking anything in thoughts or drama. Just allow it to all arise, change, and go away. And this becomes the starting point for this tantric practice of this forearm Chenrezig. Start by visualizing the particle in your heart center. With your imagination, expand that to a tiny sphere of clear light. Which is a metaphor for our 3-dimensional world. Expand that to a sphere about the size of a small grape or marble. And color this sphere iridescent 5 colors: red, green, blue, yellow, and white. Inside this wisdom sphere in your heart center, see the sound Shri in red, and give it thickness. It's three-dimensional, not two-dimensional. This is the vibratory sound assigned to the state of clarity, being clear of emotionality. Then send five-colored light out from your heart center to all the lamas, deities, and protectors you took refuge with at the start of our practice session. And think of them or visualize them as surrounding you in space, in large numbers. They accept your light offering and return it from their heart mind to yours into the Shri, in your heart center. And from this you develop into the four-armed Bodhisattva illusory body of Chenrezig. Now you can see that you're simply working with your imagination. Whether or not the picture is clear depends on your practice. Of course, spiritual karma from past lives has a lot to do with it, but be patient. And once you can see your ordinary body completely replaced by this hologram, all the qualities that it represents on the physical, mental, and emotional level are in place. Then project it, which is what we do with our brain, our mind, to your mother in front who gave you this, created your body, whether or not you knew her or not, whether or not you liked her or not. Then project it to all your family members, fathers, friends, relatives, lovers, associates. Because of this state of interconnectedness, every being on this planet is your life support. Everything you have came from them. So start to imagine each and every one as the same symbol of the Bodhisattva illusory body Chenrezig. When we use the word illusory, it means everything is imagined as energy or light. Then to extend it to all the animals in the ocean and on the land. So you're making a mandala of light and light forms in your mind. Expand it outward. Then, because the spirit world fills boundless space and everything in it, include all the spirit. Once your mind is filled with this light and light form of the Chenrezig, this mandala, it causes the heart mantra to arrive. And these 6 syllables rotate around the Shri inside the 5-colored sphere in your heart center. And you sound them with your speech. Om, Ma, Ni, Pe, Mi, Om. Say that. Om Ma Ni Pe Mi Om. 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 If you were in India, you would sound it this way. Om Ma Ni Pad Me Om. We're doing it Tibet style. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Now, up here on the wall, we have these 6 syllables in color. The white one is Om, the blue one is Ma, the third syllable is Ni, the fourth syllable is Pe, and the red syllable is Mi, and finally the blue one is Hum. Now that color code applies to the sutra tradition, but it just gives you an idea that you're going to visualize these 6 letters around the tree in your heart center in color. And then visualize the color streaming light off through your body. Each syllable, thousands of rays of light flashing through your body. And the tree also. So sit with your back straight. You're the Chenrezi, and you're empowering your form. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Then release the energy outward from your body spontaneously the way the sun does it. So it's impartially applied in every direction. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. So it starts here, spreads through thousands of channels of energy or light, and then outward shared the same way you share your breath. Oh, and then every being in your mandala that you've visualized to fill your mind as this practice is doing exactly the same thing you are. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om Mani Padme you should understand that these 6 syllables are simply representing a code of the 6 kinds of birth that sentient beings involve themselves in. 6 drama fields. The animal and the human world are 2 of these. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Now the ni and the pe, the 2 central sounds, are the animal and the human. The other 4, the Om Ma, is the celestial, we say gods and goddess world of the spirits. The 2 end syllables, the mi and the hum, are the 2 we call lower realms of spirits, where they're either deprived or psychotic. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Shri. Now the Shri simply means all the emotionality and drama is removed. That's way too simple. But that's the clearer. See, the word is Buddha. Or when you said the second prayer is Sanjay. Sanjay is 2 words. It means cleared completely. This is your natural state. So we use the Shri symbol as a state of discerning that is free of judgment and emotionality and drama. It's free. Well, if it's free of emotionality, then there can't be any pain or suffering. Because all karma comes from the emotional involvement with our thoughts and what we sense. Any questions? So this practice is really too easy. All you have to do is visualize this light body with all the best qualities of being a human, mature human, bodhisattva, and then just everybody, same. No judgment call. So if they're celestial beings, well, they're kind of stuck. It took a lot of drama to get to that celestial. Well, you see Muslim, Jew, Hindu, Christian, you see the drama. Extreme, isn't it? Well, that's celestial. See? You're Mr. Cool sitting here with this clear body, and you're saying, oh, okay, here, have some of this. I'm not doing that. I vow never to go to heaven. I tell all my Christian friends that. They just love it. Then they can make a judgment call on me. Yes, he's going to hell. But then there's no discourse either. Then the next celestial realm down, the Ma, is the war gods and goddesses. Now that's the social program of this planet. America is best at it. This war call. Really fun. Everybody's invited. Okay? And we give you all the best of everything to do this with. The support. We manufacture a lot of it, but don't worry about that. We're just doing that for money. We really like the drama of it. It's good for your country. See? That's the war god. Now we call that the jealous god. Now it's not just men. The reason I'm extending this kind of judgment call is because all of it is in the human condition. If I say celestial beings, I'm talking about us. If I say war gods and goddess, I'm talking about us. If I'm talking about humans, of course, it's 7 billion. And more coming. Why? And then animals, more coming. Why? That. So those two are kind of in lock mode. Then we get down to the lower spirit realms where these were the corporate leaders. I like that one. They never got enough. Greed was their game. So this greediness is like a deprived spirit. They never get enough. You know, not enough food, not enough water, not enough sex, not enough anything.
I'm good at that.
Yeah, everybody is. See, I'm saying it's out there. It's not out there. It's in our mind. See, so this is the mind program. This is the software. Yeah, we'll project it out there. Well, yeah, sure, of course. But that's what we do. But really, it's all in here. So we're moving down to this chakra. That's the three. Then the psychotics is a being that doesn't really fit. Totally abusive. With their body, speech, and mind, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Totally abusive. And like it. I mean, if they're sadistic, they really like being sadistic. Makes perfect serial killer. See, you gotta laugh at it. Now, if you go to the movies or watch on TV, the infinite number of programs about serial killers. It's really weird. It's sick, actually. A form of disease. But psychosis means you intentionally want to harm yourself, others, or the environment. And if you do that, it gets ingrained. Where? In your mind. And it becomes more and more okay to be full of anger and hatred and rage. Okay? Well, that's most of the spirit world. But that's also a great percentage of this human condition. Animals don't do that. Animals aren't psychotic. They're not intentionally harming themselves, others, in the environment. They just have a program based on instinct. If you're an elephant, you have to be an elephant. You can't change into a mouse. That's it. See? So they're locked. But these other critters have choice, these spirits. So do we. But once they get into that spirit situation, they can't change because it's so, what are we saying? Insubstantial. So Om Mani Padme Hum comes from the heart. Removes all that subjective dialogue. I call it dualistic fixation. And moves them into a state of clarity, which is a symbol of the three. Then you visualize all of them exactly the same as you. And then that way, alleviate their pain and suffering. Maybe a little bit. But for some of those beings, a little bit is really a lot. You know in yourself, when you have a headache, you get a little bit of relief from the headache is a lot. Okay, so we'll do this. Back straight. Three. What does a three look like? That's a good question. See if I got it. Yeah. You have to be able to draw this thing.
Mm-hmm.
That one's easy. Om Mani Padme Hum. You can visualize it in our language letters if you want. But this is a three. Three starts with a straight line. That means everything starts in equal. Then we put this tilted 5, that's the exhale. Ah. Like in Hawaiian, we said hello, ah. The Hawaiians knew this stuff. They were working pretty good. They were surviving it until we came along. Of course, they were killing each other, which caused us to come. So that's their karma. Then 3, the R is this slash. And this hook is a vowel. This is the I. So this is what's called a stacked code or mantra. So H-R-I, Shri. The sound of this means that you're discerning drama, no drama. Judgment, no judgment. Okay? Conditional world, voidness. Because the basis of the conditional world is empty, voidness. It all comes from space. Scientific fact. And when they have a supernova, a huge part of boundless space disappears. All the worlds disappear in a supernova. That's a lot of sentient beings. You know, here we have tsunamis and earthquakes where a lot of people disappear now. Supernova, they take pictures of it. The Hubble takes pictures. And then the computer prints it. Yeah, this was all this and now it's. So your mind's the same way. If you move into this state of clear light, anything's possible. If you stay in the eye conditional mind of drama, very limited, isn't it? I mean, the tree has to grow the fruit, it takes a long time. You can't just go out there and shake the tree and the fruit, you're not going to get anything. Slowly, slowly. But in this part of your consciousness, you're an unconditional. It works. And you have to know that. I can't put it to you. So this is the trick. This is the trick to get you to the total mature state we call Buddha. Okay? This trick, all of the practices of the Tibetan tradition come from that trick. All the sutra, all the tantra, all the monks and nuns, all them practice it. All the lay people who support the monks and nuns practice it. All the high yogis and yoginis in seclusion and retreat practice it. If you say the Dalai Lama, he's Chenrezig. He's this Chenrezig. He's also this Tara. He's also this Buddha, because he's mature. He's just a mere human. You know, he walks around wearing dresses and smiling and funny. It's really funny. I think it's funny. Like one time he was on the Big Island, we're all sitting there reading. He's giving teachings and he stops. He starts laughing. Ha ha ha, I'm up here dry and you all sitting out there in the rain. And then he went back to his big smile on his face.
I heard him after the Kala Chakra initiation in DC in 2011. He said, okay, now you're all initiated. If you can practice for 1 year, 2 years. If you like it, good. If you don't, fuck it.
Yeah. I was 4 days with him in Hollywood, California, and thousands of people started off. By the end, it was less than 1,000. But he did that the whole time. And he's giving these really powerful initiations with all the explanation and everything. He was correcting his translator constantly. So there was kind of this verbal thing going on. He had to laugh. No, I didn't say it that way. You know, blah, blah, blah. Come on, tell these people. I get it. Got to be human. It isn't human. How do you get mature? By the way, your white color, your skin with a reddish glow. We start off with white, and then we go to the other color codes. Each color represents a state of awareness. This one's about clarity and using all the colors at once. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Now see this mantra, 6 syllables, rotating clockwise. The Shri is stationary. And as it rotates, it gives off 6 colors of light that flash through your body and then out to space. And that visualization, the letters are facing outward for male deities. It's just a code. The male deity really represents more method than wisdom. The female deity represents more wisdom than method. But they both are inseparable. You can't have the state of idea of no separation has to be in place. I'm explaining this for tantric practice. Om Mani Padme Hum. See, I'm doing clockwise. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Now, without your voice, be the Chenrezig, 3D, illusory body, representing all the best qualities of a bodhisattva, sitting on a lotus sun and moon disk, then mother in front facing you, all mother sentient beings filling your mind, filling space, inside, outside, same. Then the energy from the Shri and the 6 syllables flashing through every channel in your body, thousands of psychic channels clearing, then sharing with beings around you in space. And every being in your mandala exactly the same as you. Equal. No high, no low. Everything natural. Just like nature itself. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Shri. Now the Shri represents your mature state of total realization of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual states. You represent these 3 as all together in one. Then all sentient beings, your family, equal to you. No supernatural, anything. Everything's totally on the level of nature. Inside, outside. No dualistic fixation. So this practice is to bring you into that state of unity. When you do, when you understand that everything is interpenetrating, everything is in union, then you change your color code to blue. So now you're the blue Chenrezig. Same mantra, but everything's in a state of light energy. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Just let that energy go everywhere, everybody in your mandala, blue. Now this energy of union is called mirror-like wisdom. We use the mirror as a symbol because the image in the mirror can't be separate. So you're imaging in your mind, and in that way everything is in union. Then because you're acting this as a symbol of a bodhisattva, you're moving into the karma family of action of your body, speech, and mind being the program. So now you change your Chenrezig Z color code to gold or yellow. Everything is in a state of purifying action, healing, auspicious. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 If you're this yellow color code, everybody in your mandala also same. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om Mani Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Free. Now we move to the state of everything equal. No supernatural, no high, no low, no superior, no inferior. Animals, humans, spirit, all equal. The state of equanimity is the color. We're going to use this one as green. So extend this color code green everywhere. As you and all the beings in your mandala. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 The ultimate level of this state of equality is called equanimity. It means no judgment, no emotional involvement, no drama. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Now you're communicating this to the spirits in your body and around you, where you live. This practice is very useful that way. Now the final Chenrezig is going to be red. And in the red color, you're in a state of discerning the difference between the drama and no drama, conditioned and unconditional, partial and impartial. So this is called the discerning state. And you color your color code change to red to match the free in your heart center. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om Mani Om Mani Padme Hum. Tree. Now, you've been imagining these various color codes and the mantra sounds, all this energy is blazing light, more or less psychedelic, illusory application. This is all called the creation stage of sutra or tantric practice. The second stage of the practice in Tibetan Buddhism is to disappear all of what you're imagining, move into a state of voidness or clear light. To do that, imagine all the beings in the universe as this symbol stream into you as the central symbol or figure. Imagine that from every direction. So you're approaching the energy of what is called a supernova. You're actualizing. Once you can see you as the central figure in this symbol, like in the sky, then disappear your illusory body into the 6 syllables of the mantra in your heart chakra. So now the 5-colored sphere and the heart center free with the 6 syllables. Then disappear each of the syllables of the mantra, starting with the Om, into the free. Then the 5-colored sphere of light and the free together contract to a particle of light in your heart center and relax as that merges with the infinite clear light of boundless space. No concept. And bring your awareness to the present, as refined as you can do that. The present moment. And relax. Do not block anything that arises in your mind. Thoughts, drama, sensual experience. Don't block. Don't attach. Just relax and watch. While you're developing this state of presence, open your eyes a little wider so that the vision is directly in front. Qualities of this stage of practice arise spontaneously, naturally. No drama, bliss arising. No judgment, clarity arising. No thoughts, voidness arising. The three together, we laugh. Then when you can't take any more of this soft, natural state, reinvent the deity and post-meditationally apply that to every being that you have relations with, or karma. And then all sound can be the Om Mani Padme Hum mantra. And this world becomes a field of clear light energy, which is just what it is, totally natural. When healing is required, you can sound the mantra or not. You return with your awareness to in front of your eyes, and we'll finish the practice tonight with the dedication prayer. Now there are many dedication prayers, but the purpose of dedicating the merit to all others fulfills your commitment of healing to all sentient beings. By this virtue, it's at the bottom of the page that the refuge and bodhicitta prayer is on. By this virtue, having realized Mahamudra, may I quickly establish all beings without a single exception in this state. With the blessing of the Buddhas who attained the three bodies, to the blessing of the unchanging truth of the Dharma, and to the blessing of the unwavering aspirations of the Sangha, that's us, may this dedication prayer be fulfilled. Then when it's fulfilled, on the bottom of the back page, right-hand bottom corner, may all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings dwell in bliss, free from all suffering. May all beings dwell in equanimity, free from all emotional involvement, attachment, aversion, pride, jealousy, and ignorance. And go back to the front. Kewa di murdu da, shagya champo drupirne, jowa chinking maluka, de sala gopar sho, sanjay kusum nimpai jemla don, choni medur dimpai jemla don, yendu miche dumpai jemla ki, jitar goma monam drupar sho. And we say Duchi in Tibetan, Mahalo in Hawaiian, Canadian and American, thank you. But this idea of dedication and saying these in both Sanskrit and our language is the way we communicate to this immediate neighborhood where you are. So the Dharma is transmitted through the Sanskrit language to all the cultures of the planet. In China, it's called Chong, or Tai Chi Chuan. Yeah. In India, it's called the Sutra tradition. In Tibet,